We will start the human skeletal system today. That is from the second chapter of your science book. Okay, so the categories of the skeletal is divided into different forms. The first is the bones. First, we will read out the bones. In the bones, there is four divided. We have the you can see the skull is there. Second, there is a backbone, and the third is the rib cage, and the fourth is the limbs. Okay, and I made some rough diagram sketch to make understand the meaning of that particular words. Okay, now you can see the human skeletal system. In this chapter, human skeletal system will read out the whole formation of the bones. What are the bones and how many types of bones are there? Okay, and what the bones phenomenon is there? What is the work of that particular or functions of the bones we have in our body? Okay, so that we going to read from the chapter, the human skeletal system. Now first we'll go with the skull. The skull is the most important part of our head. Okay, so head means it is not only the head, eyes, nose, teeth, mouth is existed, but inside the head there is some formation is there that is called the bones, and the altogether the bones joint altogether bones it is called the skull. Okay, so you can see in the skull formation. Okay, now you can take a help from the book also. While I'm explaining this one, when you see this video, you can take the help from the book as well. The skull is made up of the many bones joined together. That means it is not only the formations of one or two bones, but the many bones. It is in a broken form. When they are joined together, they make one formation that is called the skull. It encloses means it closes together and protects our brain. Okay, the most important part of our body is a brain which is circulates whatever the work we do in whole day or whatever the activity we do, that is done by and ordered by the main organ of the body, that is called the brain. The most bones of the skull are fixed except the lower jaw. You can see here the lower jaw. This is called the lower jaw. It is only a bone which is not directly attached with the skull. This is the upper part of the skull and this is the lower part. So this is called the jaw. Okay, so jaw part is not completely attached with the skull. Okay, so that is called the lower jaw. That is not a lower jaw is not accepted. This one fixed with the upper part of the jaw, and which is very movable. Because of this, we can open the mouth as we can when we eat something or when we yawn, when we feel sleepy. That time we just use it, that part of our bones of the skull. Okay, now next part is the backbone. The backbone is also known as a vertebral column. Why? Because you can see here there is some bones, part of the bones are there. When they are attached with each other, so how many pairs of bones we have? That is 33. How many? 33. It is made up of 33 small bones. So this if you count serially, you can find it 33 bones here. Okay, so 33 bones, when they attach together, they form one line that is called the backbone. Okay, that also called the vertebral column. It runs from the base of the skull to the lower back. It is made up of the 33 small bones called the vertebra, joined with each other. They are joined with each other. They are joined by each other. They are joined by each other. Okay, so they are joined by each other. So that's why they are called the column. So each vertebra has a hole in it. The delicate spinal cord passes through these holes. The backbone protects the spinal cord. So that means as soon as the end of this skull, you can find it. The skull you can find it here. The end of this neck. Okay, the lower part of that jaw you can find it. The neck is there. So the neck part is joined with the upper part of the vertebral column. So this joining part is called the what? Spinal cord. That is called spinal cord. I'll just make a rough sketch here only. Okay, you just get it this. Okay, this part, this sections where it is joined from the back, that is called the spinal cord. This is called the spinal cord. Okay, so this sections, this part of the body bones is called the spinal cord. Again. Now next we go with the rib cage. You can see here also there is a rough sketch is there, but it is better to understand. Okay, this is good to understand what is the rib cage means. Okay, most importantly, the rib cage works. We know that it protects our heart and the lungs. So whenever we do something very heavy work or something like that, it doesn't connect directly to the heart or the lungs. So the bones first they have to face it, then it goes with the lungs and the heart. So that is the most function of the rib cage. The ribs are the long curved bones in the chest. Curves means what? It is round shape. Okay, that's why it is known as a curve, right? There are 12 pairs of the ribs, so that means 12 pairs. If you count it, here 12 and here 12, so altogether there is a 12. Total we have 24 rib cages in our body. These curved bones are joined to the backbone at the back. That means they are connected directly with the backbone, that spinal cord. Okay, the spinal is there, you can touch. While I am explaining this, you can feel your spinal cord and the backbone, it is directly touched with that and connected. Okay, these curved bones are joined to the backbone at the back. The last two pairs of the ribs, that means they are talking about this part. Okay, the last two pairs of the ribs are not attached at the front and are called the floating ribs. These ribs are called the floating ribs. This hole is called the rib cage, and the part which is not joined with the front, they are called the floating ribs. Okay, the ribs cage protects our heart and lungs. It is separated from the stomach of the body by muscles called the diaphragm. So that means it is separating this part of the rib cage is directly separate the what? Stomach. It is separating the stomach and the rib cage part, so that's why it is called the diaphragm. The diaphragm and the muscles between the ribs expand and relax to make the chest bigger. This one, the rib cage, the diaphragm, when they expand, okay, or compress or expand, it makes a chest bigger. Okay, some of the boys knows that when you go for the army or the defense area, so you can see that the defense people says that expand your chest. That means it is 34, 36. Okay, again this one compress it, then again it will come 32, 34. Okay, if you take breath in, okay, take breath in, then the chest will become expand again. When the breathe out, then again the chest will become compressed. So that is because of the diaphragm. Now lastly we'll see the limbs. The limbs altogether it is called the bones of the hand and the leg bones. Okay, together it is called the limbs. Understood? Now in the limbs category, you can see there is divided the two parts of the, this is the hand bones and this is the leg bones. Okay, so you can see there is an hand bones. We can see this part, the upper part of the bone is called the arm bone, which is the shoulder part. Okay, this is your shoulder, and from the shoulder you can see this part to the elbow, so this is called the arm joint. And from this elbow to your fingers, okay, your hand, so that is called the radius. So this is called the radius, and the one more joint is, one bone is called, that is called the ulna. And the second part is the thigh bone. Okay, so this is called the femur bone. It is also called the most biggest bone in our body, biggest bone, because it is not broken in middle, but it is continuous. Okay, from starting from thigh, upper part of the waist to the knee part. So this is called the femur. This is called the femur. Also we can say the thigh bone. Okay, and after this, below of the thigh bone, we can see fibula, the smaller one, and the tibia, that is a bigger one. Okay, so these are the bones which is existed in our hand and the leg bones. So the leg bones is called the hind limb, and the hand bone it is called the forelimb. The leg bone it is called the hind limb, and the hand bone it is called the what? Forelimb. Okay, so that is called the limbs, the hand and the leg bones. Now we'll go with a brief account on the joints. Okay, joint also most important part of our body, which helps to differentiate the parts of the body, or to make the good movement. If the joint is good and strengthful, then your movement of your body will also be very good. Okay, so that is a work of the joints. The joints are held together by a tough tissue called the ligaments. So that means when they are joined together, isn't it like जिस तरह से हम किसी दो चीज को अगर जोड़ते हैं तो जोड़ने के लिए हम लोग गम चाहिए होता है ना, तो उसी हम लोग गम को क्या करते हैं, we'll help the gum to join the two different parts. So same like that, when the two different bones are come together or to be joined together, the ligament is most important. That is also a tissue which is help them the bones to held together. Okay, so there is different kinds of bones we have. The first is ball and socket joint, the second is a pivot joint, third is a hinge joint, and the fourth is a gliding joint. The most probably you will find, or what probably it is like confirm, you will find it the ball and socket joint in the shoulder part, in your shoulder part. Okay, in this a ball shaped end of one bone fits into a cup shaped socket of the other bones, and this type joint is shoulder and hip joint. So that means this kind of a joint, it is like this. If you see this way, okay, so this kind of a joint is called the ball and socket. So this is called the ball and this is called the socket. So that means the ball is move only by the volume and the space of the socket categories. Okay, beyond that, that bone will not move from that place. So that's why it is called the ball. This is the ball, and the socket means the shape of the socket. Okay, the shape of the socket is called the ball and socket, and you will get in the hinge joint and the shoulder joint, these two bones, these bones. Now the next bone is the pivot joint. The pivot joint is a bones which is help to move our head upward, downward, and sideways. Okay, 180 degree we can move that our head to left to right, down and up. So that helps by the pivot joint, that you can find it between the skull. Okay, this one what you will say, skull and the skull joint, skull joint and the backbone joint. So the joining point of the backbone and the skull joint, you will find it the pivot joint. Okay, now come to the hinge joint. This joint is like the hinges of a door, that means kabja. Okay, like it is hinge joint means when this joint is there, if these bones are there, the small part of the bones which is make the bones in firm. Okay, so when that bones and the particular joints are in the firm, cannot be moved from that place. Okay, so you can see most common examples we have in our knees. Okay, so when you see in the knee, there is a kneecap also, we can call it, that is called the hinge joint. This joint is like the hinges of a door. This type joints are found in elbows, knees, and fingers and toes, and hinge joint allows movement in one plane only. Okay, so that means in one place only it will move it, that hinge joint. Now come to the gliding joint. Gliding joint, mostly you will find it, this gliding joint you will find it in the fingers and the nails. Okay, the fingers and the nails. The gliding joint you will find it in the fingers and the nails. That will help us to type joint is also now found in wrist and ankles, where bones can slide over each other, that means because of that presence of the gliding joint, we can move our fingers very easily. So that is a types of the bones and the joints. Now we will start the next part of the chapter, that is the muscles in the human body. Okay, so there is a three different categories of the muscles we have. The first one is a voluntary muscles, second is involuntary muscles, and third is cardiac muscles. Okay, first is voluntary muscles, second is involuntary muscles, and third is cardiac muscles. In here also I made a very rough sketch, but you will understand through the rough sketch that what does that voluntary muscles wants to say, or involuntary muscles with cardiac muscles. First we will start the voluntary muscles. As you see here, that the figure which I draw here, that is in figure of a hand, isn't it? Now this voluntary muscles you will get in the arms, that means in the heart, this one, the arms sections, you will find it the voluntary muscle. The shape of the voluntary muscles is very compact and tight, so that's why the muscles are very strong. So when you feel that muscles are very strong, then you can find it, this is the structure of the muscle. Okay, now next one is what, the involuntary muscles, right? Now in the involuntary muscles, this is a, you'll understand, you'll feel hard to understand the figure. This is a picture of the stomach, this is a liver, and this is your intestine, and this is your anus. Okay, so involuntary muscles will get in here, will get in the digestive system. Like we can take it directly with the digestive, that means from the stomach the digestion starts. But if I say that digestion starts from the mouth itself, but if you go with the category when, that it will convert into a simple complex to simple food, and it will digested by the gastric juice. Okay, and it will convert into a excretory product or the air waste product, and it taken out from the excretory organ. So in that particular organs you can find it this involuntary muscles. The structure of the involuntary muscles is this. Okay, the shape of the involuntary muscles. Now the third point is cardiac muscles. The cardiac muscles is directly we can connect with the heart. Okay, so the heart is there, the structure of the heart, we can find it the cardiac muscles in the heart. The structure of the muscle is this. Okay, now we go little bit structure and the functions of that particular muscle. The voluntary muscles is what? Muscles which are attached to our skeleton are called the, that means they are directly attached with the bones. Okay, the bones, they are attached directly the voluntary muscles, so that's why it is called the voluntary muscles, or you can see the skeletal muscles as well. These muscles are under our control, so that means we can by the activity of our hand or the human muscles, so it can be expand or compress. So that is why, that's why it is called the what, the muscles are under our control. These muscles are present in our arms, hands and legs. Okay, the locations of the muscles, voluntary muscles is arms, hands and legs. Now we come to the involuntary muscles. The involuntary muscles, you can see here that now these muscles are not under our control, so that means it is not our control. Understood? Now we can see here that they are also called as smooth muscles, so that's why it is called the smooth, because it is not in our control, so that's why it is called the smooth muscles. Okay, for example, the muscles of the stomach, so that means this is your stomach. Okay, the muscles of the stomach are not under our control, they are controlled by the brain and the spinal cord. So you can see the brain is there, okay, that controlling that stomach to digest the food, and when we feel hungry, when complete digestion is completed, so that is called the involuntary muscles. Now cardiac muscle is what? It is also, our heart is made up of the cardiac muscles. These muscles are not attached to our bone, so that means completely detached. The heart muscle is completely detached from the bones muscles. Okay, so that's why it is called the, it is not attached with the skeletal bones, so that's why it is called the cardiac muscles. These bones are not attached to any bones. These muscles are also involuntary and work throughout a person's life, so that means it is very valuable muscles which will help you help to protect the heart, and also is situated and located in the heart part of the body. Again, these muscles are also involuntary. Why it is called the involuntary? Because it is smooth muscles, and it is controlled by the brain and spinal cord. Okay, so these are the two main points which is help the heart to convert into a involuntary muscles as well. And this is the part of the skeletal systems, and the last part of this last section of the skeletal system is the yoga and the postures and some of the exercises given here. So that is the most important work, or to make the body very healthy and to sharp our brains. Some of the yoga asanas are given here, so that is most important. Okay, and a part of that, there is some exercises given. Go through the exercise, and if you feel any problem on these explanations, you can just inform me by the messages. Okay, and you can see some of the examples. This one is given, question answers is given. Do that question answers and prepare it for your exam. And the page number 30, there is some structures and the names is given. That also very important. Identify and label different bones in the skeletal of human being, so that is also very important. The chapter which will give you a good knowledge to understand a basic point on the basic explanations of that that particular topic, that is most important. Just go through with the exercise. Okay, if you need any help, you know where to call and how to call me, isn't it? Thank you.